Hey, trending topics. This is Miss Corey. I know you don't hear my voice a lot. I don't make a lot of videos for this class. If you're in any of my other classes, I do make a lot more videos than this. But today we are going to go through U4-L3 logical fallacy slides. So, goal for today, students can explain what a logical fallacy is, identify the characteristics of each of the following fallacies. So, there are a ton of fallacies that we're going to cover today. Don't worry, there's not going to be like a multiple choice test on these fallacies or anything. I just want you to get familiar with them because we're going to use them in some upcoming assignments. So the first one is slippery slope, hasty generalization, post hoc ergo propter hoc, genetic fallacy, begging the claim, circular argument, either or, ad hominem, ad populum or bandwagon appeal, red herring, straw man, and moral equivalence. Now, if you have any questions today about any of those logical fallacies, please let me know. I'm more than happy to help you out. So, what is a logical fallacy? It's kind of a fancy pantsy word. So, it means that there's flaws or errors in reasoning. Or someone could use fake or misleading arguments or use unimportant points or facts. I know logical fallacy is kind of a broad term, but we'll get into more specifics today. So, logical fallacies are typically used by ad companies, politicians, and media companies to trick people into thinking a certain way. It could be on TV, could be on radio, could be on social media, could be speeches in person, could be on newspaper or magazines, anything on print. Anything that delivers information could have a logical fallacy being used. So here is my question. Why do you think it is important to learn about logical fallacies? All right, let's jump right in to all the different examples of logical fallacies. So the first one would be slippery slope. That is when a person jumps to an extreme conclusion about an event. So if event A happens, then through a series of smaller but unspecified events, event Z will happen. So, for example, if we ban forever chemicals because they are bad for the environment, then the government will ban all chemical products. So it goes from event A, which would be like banning forever chemicals, to jumping to this crazy conclusion that the government will ban all chemical products. And that is a slippery slope because it jumps a bunch of different steps in between. So the person speaking is equating banning forever chemicals with banning normal household chemicals, which is not the same thing. We do need some household chemicals to clean and live healthy. This is specifically talking about forever chemicals are specifically toxic to us. Okay. Hasty generalization. That is a conclusion based on insufficient or biased evidence. I know we talked a lot about biases before. So when someone rushes to conclusion, for example, even though it is the first day of school, I can tell this class is going to be boring. So this example shows that the student is basing the entire class just on his or her first day experience. Post hoc ergo propter hoc. I don't know Latin, so I probably totally mispronounced that. But anyway, let's move on. So, if event A occurred after event B, then event B must have caused event A. I know, confusing, but let's look at the example. It'll be a little bit less confusing. So, I drank a bottle of water, and now I'm sick. So, the water must have made me sick. This example shows that the person assumes that the water, which would be event B, made him sick, which is event A. and does not factor in other possibilities like if he got sick from eating an expired corn dog he found on the ground of the public bus, or if his daughter came home from school with a cold. Genetic fallacy. That is when a person jumps to conclusion based on the argument that the origins of a thing or person determines its character or worth. So, for example, the Volkswagen Beetle is an evil car because it was originally designed by Hitler's army. So, this example shows how this person compares an object, like a car, to its origins, which is Nazi Germany, even though today Volkswagen has nothing to do with Nazi Germany. Begging the claim. That is when a person makes a claim but does not include evidence to support that claim. Here's an example. Filthy and polluting coal should be banned. So this example shows that the person wants to ban coal but doesn't use direct evidence of why it should be banned. Filthy and polluting, those are adjectives. They're not specific enough. So the person needs some solid evidence, like coal should be banned because according to Climate Council, burning coal can cause asthma, heart and lung disease, and types of cancer. So you see in this example right here that I just read off, it gives off solid evidence. Versus up here, this person's just using adjectives to make it seem bad. Circular argument. That is when a person restates the argument rather than proving why the argument is true. So here's the example. You need to do your homework because homework is required for class. Yeah, but why do I need to do my homework? The person in the example should have said something like, you need to do your homework because homework helps you practice your skills for the next week's test. You can't just go in the circular argument of you need to do your homework because homework is required for this class. See how that's a circular argument? It's not really an explanation of why you should do your homework. Either or. When a person oversimplifies an argument and only gives two choices as a solution, this one you'll see a lot. So an example would be, we can either stop using cars or we destroy the earth. This example shows that there are only two choices available. Either you got to stop using cars or we destroy the earth. But it does not take into account other options, like what about electric cars or cutting pollution from other things like businesses. Ad hominem. So, this is an attack on the character of a person rather than what that person is actually like. And this is used a lot in politics. So, here's the example. Greenpeace's strategies aren't effective because they are all dirty, lazy hippies. So, this example shows that the person is focusing on name calling and hate instead of actually explaining why the person disagrees with the Greenpeace. Then you have ad populum, or more commonly known as bandwagon. So, probably one of the most used logical fallacies. It is seen a ton in ads. I was even watching the TV, yesterday, a couple days ago, and I saw an ad that uses bandwagon. It was like for a new phone, and you saw all these people rushing to the store. That's a bandwagon ad. So next time you're watching TV, pay attention to commercials because you're probably going to see some. So bandwagon is when an ad or speaker tries to convince people to think or act a certain way because everyone else is doing it too. So, for example, if you were a true American, you would support the right for people to eat free corn dogs every day. So, in this example, the person speaking equates being a true American to supporting free corn dogs for everyone. Although, probably not everyone in America supports free corn dogs. Do you see what I'm saying? They were like, well, everyone else, all the other true Americans love corn dogs. And if you don't, then you're not a true American. I made up that example, by the way. Sometimes I make up crazy examples. All right, next. Or here's some other examples of bandwagon. So this is a toothpaste ad. It says, Australia, you've made the switch. Over 1 million Australians have already tried Oral-B toothpaste. So it's making you think, well, 1 million other people are using this toothpaste. You should too. You should jump on the bandwagon. Or you see it a lot in sports ads. So, for example, this is for the LA Galaxy. It says 2025 season tickets, and you see this big crowd of people. Look at all those people. They must have season tickets too. You should too. So, you should jump on the bandwagon. All right. This one is probably one of the weirdest ones to explain. It's called red herring. And you're like, red herring, like the fish? Like, isn't there a fish called a herring? Yeah, there is. And I'll explain why that actually relates to this logical fallacy. So, something unimportant that distracts a person from the real issue being discussed. So, you're probably like, well, what about the fish part? Okay, so there's a little backstory to the name of this one. So, it is called a red herring because, so these dogs, right? They would be used for hunting rabbits. Dogs would sniff the ground for the rabbit's scent. And to train the dogs to keep sniffing the rabbit's scent, hunters would distract the dog using a different scent. And that different scent was the stinky red herring, which is a kind of fish. So the dogs would get distracted by the red herring, although they should have been chasing after the rabbits. So, like I said before, a red herring is something unimportant that distracts a person from the real issues being discussed. An example of that is if a person who was pulled over for speeding tells the cop, "Why are you pulling me over for speeding? Shouldn't you be out catching the real criminals? Someone could be robbing a bank as we speak." So, this example shows that the person is trying to distract the cop from the fact that the person was actually speeding. And that person's distraction was, well, robbing a bank, or the red herring was robbing a bank. Then you have straw man. So that was when a person oversimplifies their opponent's viewpoint and then attacks that viewpoint. Here's an example that I found online, and I'm like, hey, yeah, that's pretty good. I'll just put it in here, I guess. So if this person was like, I'm in favor of lowering sentences for drug offenses, and this person says, so you think your children should be running around doing drugs? This person right here totally oversimplified their opponent's viewpoints because there's a lot more statistics and evidence that needs to be dug deeper into this, like, political view. Then you have moral equivalence. So that is when a person compares a very minor misdeed with a very major misdeed, suggesting that the minor misdeed is just as serious as the major misdeed. For example, smoking may be a bad thing, but it's not as bad as global warming. So this example shows that the person speaking is thinking that smoking and global warming are at a somewhat comparable level, even though smoking affects just a small group of people, versus global warming, which affects everyone on Earth. All right, hopefully it wasn't too confusing to go through some of these. I know I had to spend a lot of time too trying to figure out what all of them mean. But if you have any questions, please email me. I am more than happy to help you out. Next up, you're going to do U4-L3, logical fallacies and ads. So you're going to read and look at each ad and then answer the questions below each of the ad. I also did an example too. So definitely check out my example if you're still a little confused. And also a good thing to note is that some ads may have more than one logical fallacy, but for the assignment, you only need to name one logical fallacy per ad. And of course, if you have questions, please let me know. I am here to help. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.